Welcome to another edition of the CJ McCollum Show. I'm currently recording in New Orleans, and it is Monday, March 11th. Fresh off of a road trip in which we played 3 games in about, 9 days. A nice break in between games where we didn't have a 5-7 or a 10-16 or 10-15 stretch. So we were able to rest, recover, have some practices. Coach was gracious enough to give us an off day where we had some yoga in Toronto, which was nice to kind of recover and not have to play basketball. But all in all, it was a good road trip. We blew a lead. I think we were the first team in 25 years to be up by at least 35 points in 3 consecutive games, and probably one of the first teams in NBA history to almost lose one of those games as well.
Almost. But a win is a win is a win is a win. And that's how many you guys are going for right now. 4 in a row. You did what I told you guys to do at the end of the last podcast. Handle business on the road.
There's a lot of pressure you put on us too, talking about how those teams are undermanned and injured and how we better beat them. And I was like,
I'm going to tell you anything you didn't know.
Just don't jinx it.
You didn't know. That's all I'm saying. No, so it's feeling good?
Yeah.
Nonetheless,
we're in a good spot. I think we got 39 wins right now with about 18 games left. So 11 games away from 50 wins in this season, which would be great for us as an organization, as a franchise. Would probably all but guarantee us a 5 or 6 seed.
Which you guys are currently in the 5 seed.
Currently in the 5 seed, which would allow us to avoid the play-in game, which is what we all want, is that extra time to rest and to assure ourselves the chance of being in the playoffs and not have to play our way in.
Yeah. How much are you talking about trying to climb, though? So right now, to try to get home court,
I think we're just trying to eat what's in front of us right now. Honestly, Like we really control our own destiny by winning games, and the more games we win, the better. But understanding that there's nothing wrong with 5 and nothing wrong with 6. You'd like to be higher, you'd like to have home court, but that doesn't guarantee anything in this league. And ironically, I think we got more wins on the road than we do at home this season. But I think for us right now, like obviously the Clippers are at 41 wins, Minnesota's at 44 with some injuries, but
you would have to make up a lot of ground there, like about 3 games.
Yeah, and that's hard to do with 18 games left. But I think I don't know what we need to go. 11-7 gives us 50 wins. 12-6 gives us 51. 13-5 gives us 52 wins. So, if we're in that range, I think we got a pretty good chance of assuring ourselves 50 wins and maybe even a little, what are we getting considered as? We're Southwest, maybe a Southwest Division title. It's us. I don't know who else is in the Southwest. That's terrible. But I think that gives us a shot. Spurs, Dallas, Houston. Memphis, maybe? I don't know. I don't know what's considered the Southwest anymore, but that's neither here nor there. We're in a great spot. We're relatively healthy. Dyson is continuing to ramp up. Guys are selling into their roles.
Yeah, Memphis, San Antonio's already eliminated. Yeah, you're at the top of the Southwest.
So yeah, that means we get like a little banner for that, man, which would be really cool to hang.
Dallas is 3 games back of you guys.
So we still got work to do.
Yeah.
We still got work to do, but
especially with the way Luka's playing.
Yeah, he's playing at an extremely high level.
6 straight 30-point triple doubles.
It's the first time in NBA history, huh?
That's crazy. But they're 3-3 during that stretch. Who was it? I think it was Charles. Kind of made some headlines recently when he says that Luka has to score less for them to, be more successful.
That's interesting.
What do you think about that? When you go up against that team,
I think the way that offense is ran, it revolves around Luka. High usage, pick and rolls, plays his strengths. He basically plays the whole first quarter. He probably leads the league or is second in the NBA in points per game in the first quarter. He gets off to great starts. He has a hand in points. He has a hand in assists. He has a hand in rebounding, literally every statistical category for that team. And that's the way the team was built in terms of supporting cast. Obviously, Kyrie is there that can go get buckets and score. And make his teammates better, but the team was built around him. So I don't know how that's not going to happen based on his talent level. Like it's the way it's going to be.
He's going to have the ball in his hands.
Right. And he's such a good player. That means you're going to score, you're going to get assists, and he's big, and he has a great understanding of how to track missed shots. So he's going to get rebounds. So I don't know how that's possible. Obviously, they're going to continue to surround him with better players and pieces that make up for his weaknesses and complement his strengths. But I think it's just a interesting dynamic. Shaq has played on some very dominant teams. He's won multiple championships, so he knows what it takes in order to win a championship. But I think in their case, it's tough. And I don't know, outside of Mike and probably Kobe, has there ever been a guy that averaged 30 points per game and won a championship? I don't think so.
Research? Oh, we don't have a research team. Okay. Parker, hit us in the comments. But let me put it to you this way. So when you're thinking about your playoff push, do you see the Mavs as someone in your way, in terms of like contenders that could prevent you guys from, doing something in the playoffs?
I think for us, it's just about getting into the playoffs. And I think a lot of teams are looking at it that way. Really worry about yourself. Don't really worry about other teams, because historically, you try to find matchups. It's like, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
You want to just win as many games as possible and position yourself to be in the playoffs. Try to avoid the play-in game, because it's one game. Anything can happen in one game. It's not necessarily the better team. It's the better team that night. So you want to make sure that you put the time in, trust the body of work, win as many games as possible. And then I feel like once the playoff starts, anything can happen. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the Thunder are first right now. I think Denver's probably one of the favorites in the West. Clippers are probably another one of the favorites in the West. But I think every team is just like, let's just get into playoffs. We can figure out the rest later. Obviously, you prefer to play at home, but you just want to get into playoffs. And I think Dallas, even the Warriors and Lakers, are thinking the same thing. Like, just get into the playoffs. The Lakers were in the play-in game last year, went to the conference finals.
Right.
Every team is good enough to make a run. They just have to get there.
Speaking of those Lakers, I had that game on Friday against the Bucks. D'Lo had a awesome game. No LeBron in that game. He played last night against the Timberwolves. The Lakers beat the Timberwolves with Ant, but obviously no Karl Anthony Towns. We'll touch on some of the injuries in just a bit. But I had a chance to catch up with Damian Lillard actually before that matchup. And in that game, he passed Reggie Miller for fourth on the all-time three-pointers list, which is crazy because,
It's wild.
like when that happened, when Reggie got that record, we was like, everyone, records are meant to be broken, but like when Ray Allen got his record, it was like, all right, this is a done deal. Like, no one's going to pass this now, Steph. And, he keeps adding to it. Now Lillard, and then the Bucks, they're 7-2 since the All-Star break. And I had just a conversation with Dame about, what like Doc's impact on him since he took over. And obviously there was a lot of criticism, in January, but like he took over as they're in the middle of a road trip. This is like their fourth coach since the summertime, if you include Bud. And there was a lot going on. And it's understandable that it took a little bit for them to kind of reset things. But the one thing that Dame told me that Doc came in and did was asked him about certain sets that he ran with you guys in Portland, and asked him why they weren't running them more in Milwaukee, because, he came in with the experience of having played against Dame multiple times over multiple years, and just basically said, hey, I scouted against these sets. I hated when you ran them. Can you walk me through them and what kind of made it unguardable? And, Dame basically just felt not like seen, but it's been very difficult for him in Milwaukee, just the transition. That's both, professionally and personally. And I know you understand this. He's been very open about this. It's been hard to be away from his kids. He's talked about how he's gone through a divorce and just like trying to get to know Giannis a little bit. He talked to me about just like the awkwardness of it all, because they didn't want to step on each other's toes. They're both established stars in this league. And that's understandable. Like in any relationship, when you're getting to know someone in a professional setting, like you're given a partner, like take us, for instance, like even though we knew each other, like this is like we were put together as partners on this podcast, and it took a little while for us to understand each other's tendencies. That is just normal. That is just human. And so, having someone like Doc come in and kind of see Dame for, what he's done in this league, and try to implement that into what they're doing just already set. He said it's kind of all he needed to kind of feel a little bit more comfortable. And you're seeing it. It's not like, hey, I need more plays run for me. It's just a better understanding of his skill set and his strengths and how those can be implemented into what they're already doing. And I think that's what Doc brought to the table. And I think that is why Doc seemed like really the only choice to make at that point in the season. Someone who has the experience and the understanding of dealing with big names in this league, and also someone who's seen practically everything in this league, having won a championship, and knowing how to kind of take the baton and run with it. So that's just like a little bit of what we discussed in our 10-minute conversation on the way to the buses, but it does seem like he's, that things are kind of coming together, what he said to me, at the right time. I don't know if you've talked to him recently, but the Bucks, they're figuring some stuff out, and, they're going to be very scary in the playoffs.
Yeah, we spoke at All-Star break at length, and then we just kind of check in every other week just to see how things are going, how the kids doing, how's basketball, how's life. And I think he was beginning to get more comfortable. He's, like you said before, got more games under his belt. Obviously, the transition with Doc coming in the middle of a road trip. Doc joked that he had to go home during All-Star break to get clothes because he didn't have clothes, because he kind of met the team on the road. But I think those conversations that he's having with Doc, I think the addition of Patrick Beverley, another vocal person who's going to not shy away from confrontation, I think that helps because there's more dialogue in the locker rooms. There's more accountability at the defensive end, right? Their defense has been much improved since Doc has taken over, especially during the 7-2 stretch since All-Star break. Offensively, they're being more creative. They're running plays, and Dame and Giannis are both starting to have success in the same games instead of it being like one person's game and the next night is Dame's night. Recently, they both had over 30 points, over 10 assists, and that shows you the ball is in the best players' hands consistently with space, and they're able to kind of make plays. And what Doc has done a really good job of is putting his two best players in actions together consistently. The first play a couple nights ago, they run a little dribble handoff action where Dame hits the pocket, Giannis scores, and that kind of showed you the first play of the game that he was trying to establish that cadence, that rhythm, that comfort to put the ball in both of their hands and allow them to make a play. And you've seen that throughout the game in the highlights against the Clippers. Giannis does a dribble handoff to Dame. Dame shoots a three over two guys, knocks it down. They give each other a high five. You can kind of see them starting to enjoy the game again and having more fun. Last thing I'll say is Patrick Beverley talked about on his podcast. Giannis came back after All-Star break and said, stop worrying about championships, stop worrying about the future. Just live in the present and worry about right now. Let's just have fun with right now. And I think they're starting to have fun with the present, and the result is showing based on 7-2 record since the All-Star break.
Parker came through. The last person who scored 30 in a season and won a title was Michael Jordan. So...
And Luka is very good. Luka is very, very good. But
been a minute.
It's going to be tough. I don't even necessarily think it's tough to average 30 win a championship. That just means you're having to do a lot. I think championship teams historically, as of late in the last 20 years, have been well-rounded teams to where they have multiple options, multiple weapons, multiple guys who can win you a game at any given moment. And I think that's why you haven't seen a team win a championship with a guy averaging 30 since Mike.
Yeah. That's why they have a little bit of a Tim Hardaway Jr. issue because, he's like, I think a lot of people look to see if he could be that third option for them. And he does show up. I mean, like in moments, but it's the consistency. Yeah, I mean we'll see with the Mavs, like they got something to prove this postseason for sure. I think that they're showing that, Kyrie and Luka are a nice tandem and are working things out in crunch time, but do they ultimately have enough? And, do teams ultimately have enough is a big question right now because injuries are everywhere. And I know this happens every season, but it's been a stretch, a rough one. This last week, Benedict Mathurin, season-ending shoulder surgery. Say that 5 times fast. Season-ending shoulder surgery. Season-ending shoulder surgery. Oh, probably. Sorry, Pacers fans. You probably don't want to hear that. Scotty Barnes, season-ending hand surgery. And then the really scary injury with Alperen Sengun, who has been playing outstanding this year. Taken away in a wheelchair. His status, right, as we're recording this, is unknown. And then Karl Anthony Towns, procedure on a torn meniscus last week. He'll be reevaluated in a month. Steph Curry also got injured. What? I don't want to play the game of which injury is like the biggest. Like that's morbid. But let's start with Cat and the Timberwolves, who have been up and down in that that top 3. Do you think that they can remain a top 3 seed without Cat for the foreseeable future?
I mean, they got a 3-game lead in the win column on the Clippers right now. A 5-game lead on us in the win column. I think they are good enough. They are deep enough to maintain that. The Clippers obviously have been playing really good basketball outside of their loss against the Bucks, which is a really good team. They've been winning a lot out of the break. Russell Westbrook being hurt for a while has played a role in their rotation, kind of affected some of their substitution patterns. And the pace of this second unit is a little different. But I think Minnesota is good enough to hold down the 3 seed without Cat. Only 18 games left. With a 3-game lead, you just basically need to be like slightly above 500 in order to not get caught. I don't see any teams going on like 10-game winning streaks down the stretch of this season because of how competitive the league is and how well balanced both conferences are. You're a team that could be a top 3 seed. And you could lose to a 10, 11, 12 seed on any given night, like the Lakers, being a lower seed, if you will, and beating Minnesota last night at home. I think it's going to be tough. It's going to come down to the last couple games. Phoenix Suns got a really tough strength of schedule. They're injured right now with Book being out. Right. And I think
they're all taking turns being hurt on that Suns team.
Yeah, all those things are going to play a huge factor in the last 2 weeks of the season, which is, I think, was one of the reasons why we created the in-season tournament, was to make it more entertaining down the stretch. And it's definitely been entertaining. Every game matters.
Without a doubt. Is there a team, though, outside of your team that you feel like is really in a groove? I mean, we thought we could say that about the Celtics. That, I even asked you, like, do they have a weakness? I think 2 podcasts ago, and we saw them kind of get handled by the Nuggets. I'm not sure if you saw that game. They did just beat the Suns. And avoided their first 3-game losing streak of the season. But was there any concerns, if you're a Celtics fan, about, their road trip stretch?
No concerns at all. They've been so dominant throughout the entire season. There comes a point in time where you have laws or where you go on a losing streak. It's natural. And think about it. They went on a 3-game losing streak and they still got a 7-game lead on number 2 in the conference. They've been extremely dominant all year while having lineup changes throughout the entire season. Kristaps Porzingis being in and out of the lineup, having to change their starting lineups almost on a nightly basis, and still have been successful throughout the season. I think they're the type of team that has experience now. They understand how to rise to the occasion, and I think they're battle tested. They got to that championship and lost to the Warriors, and I think that changed their perspective on the regular season and really gave them a glimpse.
That's the Jays, though, not the newly formed Celtics. I mean, Kristaps Porzingis actually said after that Cavs loss that he thought it was a good thing for them because they were feeling themselves a little too much. Do you believe in something like that?
Yeah, sometimes you need those
moral losses.
You need some of those losses to humble you and to let you know that you still need to work on things, that you can't take games for granted. They just curb stomped the Warriors. They were just basically beating every team by double digits. Perk talked about it on ESPN. Yeah. Like they were favored by like 10.5 in every game, like double digit favorites every night.
I'm looking at that 140 to 88. I'm still looking at that score again. I was there.
It's disgusting.
I blacked out the last.
But sometimes those losses humble you. It allows you to get back to the drawing board. It allows you to get back to being more sharp, not taking possessions for granted, not taking walkthroughs, practices, plays, sets for granted. And I think they responded. They responded well against the Suns team that's been playing well. Obviously, Book's hurt, but KD's usage is through the roof, and he's playing, arguably the best basketball, most efficient basketball of his career.
I want to kind of head towards the end here with another revisit to your Pelicans. Zion recently said that if he were an all-star, he'd be willing to participate in the dunk contest. Did you guys say anything to him after he said that?
No, we didn't say anything to him because I think he was serious. I mean,
okay.
he's a guy that enjoys competition. He enjoys putting on shows for the crowd. And I mean, just based on some of the dunks that I've seen in the practice facility before and after practice, like
tell us more.
I mean, I don't see how he loses based on the sheer power and force that he possesses on a lot of those dunks, to be honest with you. So I look forward to holding him to this down the road and seeing if he actually does it.
You absolutely no. It's not like you have to be the one who holds it to him. Like he has to do it now. You can't float that out there.
He floated it.
He really did. I mean, I'm sure someone asked him because that's usually how it goes. But he said it. And, you know how geeked I was for Jaylen Brown to participate, to try to like start this movement of all-stars actually participating in the slam dunk contest.
Right.
But we know how that whole contest went for Jaylen. Mm-hmm. So maybe Zion could be the all-star that actually like lifts things off.
There's always a chance. He does have a little bit of Dominique.
But the worst thing that can happen is that like he gets hurt in the dunk contest and then
stop, knock on some wood. No, stop it.
I'm just saying.
Stop it. No, positivity, positive vibes only into the air.
I know.
The best thing that can happen is that he wins it, and it's great, and unstars begin wanting to enter the dunk contest again.
Yes, in San Francisco next year.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's been settled. San Francisco, LA, then Phoenix. Yay, warm weathered places, even though San Francisco is cold. People get it twisted because it's in California.
Yeah, it's going to be cold and maybe a little rainy in February too, but it won't be as cold as Indianapolis. And we're guaranteed to not have snow in the next 3.
Okay, there's that.
Yeah.
Then we don't have to bring our winter boots. Maybe our winter coats, but not our winter boots. All right, how are we feeling? Where are we at? It's March.
Less than 20 games left. We are in March. We got only a couple road trips left. This is the part of the season where you start to watch the standings. This is the part of the season where practices are shorter. You're kind of watching more film, trying to get your 5-minute offense ready. You know, your sets, your play calls that you like to execute down the stretch of games. You're working on specific things now after practice, whether that's catch and shoot threes, whether that's floaters, whether that's pick and roll, pocket passes, whatever. You kind of get your mind in playoff mode. You're not there yet, but you're starting to get ready for it physically and mentally, where you're getting extra rest, you're getting more treatment, and your workouts pre and post practice are more precise because you know you're going to need your legs for the stretch run. So I think that's where I'm at. And I think for us as a team, Coach said it the other day. We got a unique opportunity here where we get to control our own destiny, and that's rare in this league because oftentimes you need somebody to lose or you need a favor or a break, and it's like right now we can control everything. So let's just go out there focused and really just worrying about ourselves and not worrying about the standings, not worrying about other teams. If we control the controllables and really lock in, everything we want is right in front of us.
All right. Well, enjoy. I mean, do you fill out brackets for college basketball? Name me 5 college basketball players right now. No, I'm not going to do that to you.
Dillingham.
No, don't even.
Meechie Johnson from South Carolina. Shout out to Meechie. He from Cleveland.
I can name 5 women's basketball players.
The kid that transferred from Arizona, from North Carolina to Arizona.
You can't start with the kid that
the big boy at Purdue, and then there's another big boy, Dickinson at Michigan.
Yeah.
No, is he at Kansas now? He left Michigan with the Kansas.
Is so bad. Happy March Madness.
It's that kid, that rookie, that freshman at Kentucky with the jumper.
Exactly. Him?
Yeah, he cold. He got game. I'm about to tell you his name right now.
Google it.
His name is Reed Shepherd.
Okay.
Yeah, Reed
Shout
Shepherd.
Out Reed.
Shout out to Reed Shepherd. Shout out to Meechie Johnson.
You didn't know you were going to get a mention on the CJ McCollum Show, but here we are. It's March Madness. It's that time. It's your time.
Shout out to the boy that transferred to Arizona. Shout out to
the boy that got transferred.
Shout out to what's the kid's name?
Stop.
The kid that transferred to St. Mary.
Why do you keep going?
Shout out to Andrew Nimbar's little brother. He transferred to Gonzaga. I seen St. Mary's, maybe St. Mary's or Gonzaga. He had one of those schools. He was on TV the other night. He good. He got game.
You're just gonna keep going. I'm worse. I can't even. I got nothing. But
maybe some college. Some of them women be getting to it.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. We all saw it. LSU, South Carolina, but that's okay.
No, I mean getting to it like good players. Like I ain't even talking about that. Like I'm talking about the good players. Like
yeah. I mean, it's gonna be showtime on the women's side. You can catch a lot of those games on ESPN. Just saying.
ESPN
the women's tournament
and ESPN Deportes.
And the app. Okay. That's it for us on the CJ McCollum Show on this fine Monday morning. I hope everybody enjoys their week. Most importantly, you, CJ. 4-game winning streak. What are you guys going to do now?
We're going to try to win 5.
If that doesn't rally the troops, I don't know what does. I'm behind it. Okay, bye. Bye, friend.